90 Day Fiancé stars Jenny and Sumit prove miracles can happen. Jenny and Sumit were the least likely couple to work out on 90 Day Fiancé. From the very beginning of their journey on 90 Day Fiancé, their love story seemed almost impossible. The odds were stacked against them in every way imaginable: culture, age, family expectations, secrets, heartbreak, and public criticism. Yet somehow, against logic and against probability, the TLC couple proved that miracles can happen. A recent post on social media made TLC fans raise their eyebrows in surprise. It wasn't drama, it wasn't another shocking secret, it wasn't another emotional breakdown. Instead, it was something far more powerful: peace, acceptance, family unity. Read on for more about their latest news from India and why fans are calling it nothing short of a miracle. Jenny and Sumit faced so many problems. Jenny Slatton hailed from Palm Springs, California, and she fell in love with Sumit Singh from New Delhi, India. On paper alone, their relationship looked like it would never survive. She was an American grandmother. He was a much younger Indian man living under traditional family expectations. They met online, which already made some fans skeptical. In fact, some TLC fans believe that catfishing worked both ways with them. Their relationship began with deception. Sumit originally used a fake identity when he first started talking to Jenny online. He presented himself as someone else, someone younger, someone different. When the truth came out, many believed that would be the end of everything. But surprisingly, Jenny forgave him. When she eventually arrived in India to be with him, she discovered something even more devastating. Sumit was already in an arranged marriage. For most 90 Day Fiancé stars, what happened between Jenny and Sumit would have been the immediate and permanent end of the relationship, but not for them. Their story became one of the most controversial arcs on 90 Day Fiancé. Viewers watched in disbelief as Jenny processed the shock of learning that the man she loved was legally married to another woman. The betrayal was enormous. The cultural complications were overwhelming. In India, arranged marriages are common and deeply rooted in tradition. Sumit's marriage had been arranged by his family, and divorce carried massive social consequences. Yet Jenny stayed. She stayed through the lies. She stayed through the humiliation. She stayed while Sumit struggled with his family's expectations. She stayed even when it seemed like he might never choose her. And then there was the age difference. Jenny was 30 years older than Sumit. That gap wasn't just a number, it was a lightning rod for criticism. Social media exploded with harsh comments. Viewers questioned Sumit's motives. Was he using her for a visa? Was he rebelling against his family? Was it real love or something else? For Sumit's parents, the age difference was unbearable. His mother, Sadhana Singh, was particularly devastated. She felt dishonored. She worried about societal shame. She feared gossip from neighbors and relatives. At one point, she was so upset that she threatened to take her own life rather than accept the relationship. Meanwhile, his father, Anil Singh, was also deeply unhappy. While he appeared calmer on screen than Sadhana, he was firm in his opposition. For them, this wasn't just about love, it was about culture, tradition, and community standing. The pressure on Sumit was immense. He was torn between his love for Jenny and his loyalty to his parents. In Indian culture, family approval is not optional, it's foundational. Disobeying one's parents can lead to emotional exile. Yet, despite everything, despite the divorce battle, despite family outrage, despite public backlash, the couple kept fighting for their relationship. The marriage that shocked everyone. After years of emotional turmoil, arguments, tears, ultimatums, and endless back-and-forth conversations, something happened that many fans never believed would occur. Jenny and Sumit tied the knot. Their wedding was not grand or extravagant. It wasn't celebrated by a cheering extended family. It wasn't surrounded by approval, but it was real. They legally married, choosing each other over every obstacle placed in front of them. When news of their marriage broke on 90 Day Fiancé, viewers were stunned. Some celebrated their persistence. Others still doubted whether the relationship would survive long term. Even after the wedding, problems didn't magically disappear. Acceptance from his parents didn't come overnight. There were awkward family meetings, emotional confrontations, ultimatums, cultural clashes over household roles and expectations. At one point, Sumit's mother demanded that Jenny prove herself as a suitable Indian wife. She criticized her cooking. She judged her cleaning. She scrutinized her behavior. Many fans felt uncomfortable watching how harshly Jenny was treated, but something slowly began to change. Happier moments in 90-Day Diaries. Those happier moments began appearing in 90-Day Diaries. The spin-off series gave viewers more personal, less explosive glimpses into the couple's life. Instead of constant drama, fans saw small steps toward peace. There were conversations, there were attempts at compromise, there were moments when sadness seemed to soften, at least slightly. However, some viewers remained skeptical. Was Sadhna's olive branch real, or was it for the cameras? After all, she had previously treated Jenny very badly. The emotional wounds ran deep. But even small changes matter. In a relationship that once seemed doomed, even neutral conversations felt like progress. Miracles can happen, proven by Jenny and Sumit. And then came the social media post that made fans pause. On Wednesday this week, photos on Instagram revealed the TLC couple out and about in India. The whole place is getting ready for Christmas. Decorations were visible, lights shimmered, festive energy filled the air. Jenny and Sumit found a huge Christmas tree and posed in front of it. They looked relaxed. They looked comfortable. They looked happy. But that wasn't the shocking part. In one of the photos, Sadhna and Anil were there too. All four of them, together, smiling, spending time as a family. In their caption in the joint Jenny and Sumit account, the TLC stars wrote, "Having some good time with mom and dad, Christmas preparations in India, #Christmas." For longtime viewers, this was almost unbelievable. After everything, after tears, shouting, threats, rejection, heartbreak, humiliation, there they were, together for the holidays. Really, it is a miracle that the couple finally won over his parents. Fan reactions, overwhelming support. In the comments section, 90-Day Fiancé fans loved it. The reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Instead of criticism, there was celebration. Castmate David Toborowski seemed impressed as well, commenting, "Awesome." Fans poured in with heartfelt messages. "So glad you guys have a good relationship now. Love from Ohio." "Ah, sweet Jenny influenced mom to wear denim. All looking gorgeous." "This makes me so happy for you, Sumit, and Jenny. It makes me so happy to see you all together as a family. Happy holidays." "So great to see you all together as a family. I couldn't be happier for you both. Out of all of the couples in 90 Day, I have always rooted for you guys. This is true love. I'm genuinely so happy that they finally accepted you guys." The tone had shifted dramatically from earlier seasons. Once mocked and doubted, Jenny and Sumit were now being praised as one of the franchise's most resilient couples. Why this feels like a miracle? Why are fans calling this a miracle? Because, statistically speaking, relationships like theirs rarely survive. Consider the layers of conflict. International long-distance beginnings, catfishing deception, a secret arranged marriage, divorce complications, 30-year age gap, cultural differences, intense parental rejection, public scrutiny, financial struggles, visa uncertainties. Any one of those challenges could have ended the relationship. Together, it seemed impossible. Yet here they are, married, living in India, celebrating Christmas with his parents. Acceptance doesn't happen overnight. It often arrives quietly. Sometimes it grows out of exhaustion, sometimes out of reflection, sometimes out of seeing that love refuses to disappear. For Sadhna and Anil, perhaps time softened the edges of anger. Perhaps witnessing his son's commitment changed their perspective. Perhaps they realized that pushing him away would only create distance. Or perhaps they simply saw that Jenny wasn't leaving. The bigger picture, cultural growth. This story represents something larger than one couple. It shows how cultures can clash and then slowly find common ground. Jenny embraced India. She learned about traditions. She adapted to customs. She didn't demand that Sumit abandon his family. She didn't insist on dragging him to America permanently. Instead, she chose to build a life in his world. That matters. Compromise matters. Respect matters. And sometimes persistence matters most of all. From least likely to most inspiring. When Jenny and Sumit first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, many viewers labeled them as the least likely couple to work out. Now, years later, they may be one of the most inspiring. They didn't win because everything was perfect. They won because they refused to quit. They endured embarrassment. They endured criticism. They endured heartbreak. But they kept choosing each other. And now, seeing Sadhna and Anil standing beside them in a Christmas photo feels symbolic. It feels like closure. It feels like healing. It feels like proof that even the most strained family bonds can mend over time. What do you think? What are your feelings about Sadhna and Anil accepting Jenny and Sumit as a couple? Did you think it would never happen in 1,000 years? Do you agree that it seems like something of a miracle? For longtime viewers, this moment represents more than a holiday outing. It represents years of struggle, finally leading to peace. Love doesn't always look traditional. It doesn't always follow cultural expectations. It doesn't always make sense to outsiders. But sometimes, just sometimes, it wins anyway. Jenny and Sumit were once considered the most unlikely couple to survive on 90 Day Fiancé. From the very first moment their story unfolded on screen, viewers questioned everything about their relationship. The differences between them were impossible to ignore. Different countries, different generations, different cultures, and completely different family expectations. Add secrets, heartbreak, betrayal, and relentless public criticism into the mix, and it seemed obvious to many that their love story would collapse under the pressure. And yet, against all odds and against all predictions, this TLC couple managed to do what few believed possible. They made it work. Recently, a social media post stunned longtime fans. It wasn't another scandal. It wasn't a new secret being exposed. It wasn't tears, shouting, or emotional ultimatums. Instead, it showed something far more surprising: harmony, unity, acceptance, the kind of moment that longtime viewers never thought they would witness. What happened in India this week left fans calling their journey nothing short of miraculous. Jenny and Sumit faced endless obstacles. Jenny Slatton, a grandmother from Palm Springs, California, fell in love with Sumit Singh, a younger man from New Delhi, India. Even before the cameras began rolling, their relationship raised eyebrows. An American woman 3 decades older than her Indian partner? For many viewers, that alone seemed like a recipe for heartbreak. Their relationship began online, which already made people skeptical. And then came the bombshell. Sumit had initially presented himself using a fake identity. He catfished Jenny at the beginning of their connection. When the truth came out, many assumed she would walk away immediately. But she didn't. Instead, she chose forgiveness. If that wasn't complicated enough, things took an even more dramatic turn when Jenny traveled to India to be with him. There, she discovered that Sumit was already married in an arranged marriage set up by his family. For most couples featured on 90 Day Fiancé, that revelation would have ended everything on the spot. But somehow, their story didn't stop there. Viewers watched in shock as Jenny processed the betrayal. The emotional weight was enormous. In India, arranged marriages are deeply rooted in tradition, and divorce carries serious social stigma. Sumit's marriage was not just a personal issue, it was a family and community matter. Ending it meant conflict, shame, and financial consequences. Yet, Jenny stayed. She stayed through humiliation. She stayed through uncertainty. She stayed while Sumit navigated the difficult path of divorce and faced his family's anger. Even when it looked like he might choose tradition over love, she remained by his side. And then there was the age gap. Jenny is 30 years older than Sumit. Social media critics were relentless. Some accused Sumit of using her for immigration benefits. Others claimed Jenny was naive. The public scrutiny was harsh and constant. For Sumit's parents, the age difference was especially painful. His mother, Sadhna Singh, felt deeply embarrassed and dishonored. She feared judgment from neighbors and relatives. At one point, her emotional distress became so intense that she threatened drastic action rather than accept the relationship. His father, Anil Singh, while quieter, stood firmly against the union as well. In their eyes, this wasn't simply about romance. It was about tradition, reputation, and cultural expectations. In Indian families, parental approval holds enormous weight. Going against one's parents can lead to emotional separation and lifelong tension. Sumit was trapped between two worlds, his love for Jenny and his loyalty to his parents. But despite divorce proceedings, explosive confrontations, public backlash, and cultural clashes, they continued fighting for each other. The wedding no one expected. After years filled with tears, arguments, ultimatums, and uncertainty, something happened that stunned fans. They got married. It wasn't a lavish ceremony. It wasn't celebrated by extended family members. It didn't come with wholehearted approval. But it was real. Jenny and Sumit legally tied the knot, choosing their relationship over every obstacle placed in front of them. When the marriage aired on 90 Day Fiancé, reactions were mixed. Some viewers applauded their persistence. Others remained doubtful, questioning whether the union would survive long-term without family support. And marriage didn't magically fix everything. There were still tense family meetings. There were emotional conversations filled with frustration and tears. At one point, Sumit's mother insisted that Jenny prove she could fulfill traditional expectations of an Indian wife. She criticized her cooking. She judged her housekeeping. She scrutinized her behavior. Watching those scenes made many fans uncomfortable. But slowly, very slowly, something began to shift. A softer chapter in 90 Day Diaries. As time passed, viewers began noticing calmer moments in 90 Day Diaries. The spin-off allowed fans to see a less explosive side of their daily life. Instead of constant conflict, there were glimpses of compromise. Conversations felt less hostile. Body language softened. There were small, subtle signs of change. Some viewers questioned whether this improvement was genuine or simply for the cameras. After all, the earlier treatment Jenny endured was harsh and painful. Trust takes time to rebuild. But even small gestures matter. In relationships once filled with anger, even neutral interactions can signal progress. The Instagram moment that truly surprised fans. This week, images surfaced on Instagram showing Jenny and Sumit enjoying Christmas preparations in India. Festive lights glowed in the background. Decorations filled the scene. The Christmas spirit was unmistakable. They stood in front of a towering Christmas tree smiling comfortably. But the real surprise wasn't the decorations. It was who stood beside them. Sadhna and Anil were there too, all four of them together, smiling, relaxed, sharing time as a family. The caption read, "Having some good time with mom and dad. Christmas preparations in India. #Christmas." For viewers who had watched years of tension unfold, this image felt surreal. After rejection, arguments, tears, and threats, they were celebrating together. For many fans, that truly felt like a miracle. Fans celebrated the transformation. The comment section quickly filled with support. Longtime viewers expressed joy at seeing the family united. Castmate David Tabarowski even chimed in with an enthusiastic, "Awesome!" Fans wrote messages like, "So glad you guys are in a better place now. This makes my heart so happy. I always believed in you two. So beautiful to see you together as a family." The tone had shifted dramatically from earlier seasons. Once doubted and criticized, Jenny and Sumit were now being praised as one of the franchise's most resilient couples. Why it feels like a miracle. Relationships facing just one of their challenges often fail. They faced many: long-distance beginnings, catfishing deception, a hidden arranged marriage, divorce complications, a 30-year age gap, cultural divides, severe parental rejection, public scrutiny, financial uncertainty, and visa complications. Any one of these could have ended their story. Combined, they seemed insurmountable. And yet, today, they are married, living in India, and celebrating holidays with their parents. Acceptance doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it comes quietly. Sometimes time softens anger. Sometimes parents see that resistance only pushes their child further away. Perhaps Sadhna and Anil realized that Jenny was not temporary. Perhaps they saw their son's unwavering commitment. Perhaps love, over time, simply wore down resistance. A larger message about growth. Their story represents more than just a relationship surviving. It reflects cultural adaptation and compromise. Jenny embraced life in India. She learned traditions. She adapted rather than demanded. She chose to build her future in Sumit's homeland instead of forcing him to relocate permanently. That decision likely mattered deeply. Respect builds bridges. Patience creates space. Persistence changes outcomes. From doubt to inspiration. When they first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, many labeled them the least likely couple to succeed. Today, they may be one of the most inspiring. They didn't succeed because everything was easy. They succeeded because they refused to give up. They endured embarrassment, criticism, heartbreak, and cultural conflict, but they continued choosing each other. And now, seeing Sumit's parents smiling beside them in a Christmas photo feels symbolic. It feels like healing. It feels like reconciliation. It feels like proof that even the most strained family bonds can mend with time. Love doesn't always fit tradition. It doesn't always make sense to outsiders. It doesn't always follow expectations. But sometimes, despite everything, it wins.